hazardous material test. I'll be reading the question and the right answer only. So sometimes the answer will just be all of the above, and the answer is all of the above. I learned that if you just read the question and the right answer, you don't get confused when you take the test. So that's what I do. I just read the question and the right answer. That way I don't get confused when I read the question, and then when you go take the test, you'll read the question and then you can read the right, and you'll know the answer. And when you read the answer, it'll just click like it's a right question, right answer type deal. So that's what I'll be doing today. Um, okay, so question one. Which of the following statements about radioactive label is true? That's the question. And the answer is yellow 3 indicates the highest level of radioactivity. Question 2. Which of the following statements about radioactive label is true? And the answer is, oh, I already read that one. Question 2. When transporting both hazardous and non-hazardous materials, your bills must, and the answer is all of the above. 3. The designation RQ identifies the reportable quantity. Question 4. When transporting hazardous waste, you must, and the answer is all of the above. When transporting hazardous waste, you must, all of the above. On the hazardous material table, column 1 shows, the answer is, to what shipping mode the information on that line applies. You're gonna get questions like these where you don't really know what they're talking about, but you can get the test and you can read more, but this is just to pass the test. Like, I'm just doing this to pass the test. So to pass the test, you just need to know the right answer. Question 6. Tankers used to transport hazardous materials on vehicles must be marked with, and the answer is the UN or NA ID number of the product. Question 7. A place card a place card a place card vehicle must have at least 4 place cards. The answer is 4 place cards. Number 8. Of the following hazardous materials classes, which is the most dangerous? The answer is division 6.1. 6.1. Hazardous material, the most following, I'll read it again. Of the following hazardous material classes, which is the most dangerous? The answer is 6.1. It has like 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. The answer is 6.1. You must control how far, the question, you must control how far packages labeled radioactive 2 or radioactive 3 are located from people and cargo spaces and space walls by referring to, the answer is the transport index and separation distance table. That's the answer. You should turn off your engine when loading flammable liquids unless, the answer is, you need the engine to run the pump. Okay, next question. If the hazardous materials are classified as forbidden, you should, the answer is, refuse the load. Refuse the load. When transporting explosives, you may not park, and the answer is all of the above, within 5 feet of traveled parts of the road, within 300 feet of a tunnel, near an open fire? The answer is all of the above. Who is responsible for carrying of the bills of landing that the hazardous materials are prepared properly? Who is responsible for certifying of the bills of landing that the hazardous materials are prepared properly? The answer is the shipper. The shipper. When transporting hazardous loads, you must check the tires at least every 2 hours or 100 miles. Um, Next question. You must carry a gas mask when you transport. The answer is chlorine. When transporting chlorine, you must have a gas mask. When transporting chlorine, you must have a gas mask. Containment rules are rules that, the answer is all of the above. Containment rules are rules that, and it's just all of the above. I know it sounds weird, but like how I did is when I got that question, I just, containment rules, I remembered all of the above. You must notify blank of any spills exceeding the RQ. That's the question. You must notify blank of any spills exceeding the RQ. And the answer is DOT and EPA. DOT and EPA. Next question. A safe haven is defined as, and the answer is a government approved place for parking vehicles loaded with explosives. Okay. Next question. The product ID marking on a tank must be, and the answer is black 4, numbers on orange panels. So the product ID markings on a tank must be black 4s, numbers on orange panels. In order to transport hazardous materials which require place cards, and the answer is all of the above. You must have a commercial driver's license, you must pass a written test, and you must have hazardous material endorsements on your CDL. The answer is all of the above. Next one. If the word inhalation hazard appears on the shipping papers, you need, and the answer is place cards designating a poison. Um, if the word inhalation hazard appears on the shipping papers, you need place card designating a poison. When transporting explosives, flammable liquids, or flammable gases, you may not use cargo heaters. When transporting explosives, flammable liquids, or flammable gases, you may not use cargo heaters. Cargo heaters are the best. I remember being in Colorado once, and yeah, it was really cold. It was super cold. Well, I'm from Los Angeles, so yeah, it was just the best. When transporting explosives, okay, I read that one. Cargo heaters. Next one. Special requirements for hazardous materials shipping papers include requiring drivers to keep papers either tabbed or on top of the paper. Special requirements for hazardous material shipping papers include requiring drivers to keep papers either tabbed or on top of their papers. Okay. The hazard class of all material specifies the risk, and the answer is the risk associated with materials. The hazard class of all materials specifies the risk associated with the materials. Next question. When transporting compressed gases, you must, the answer is secure the cylinders in boxes or racks or brace them down flat. Um, About that, I have a, my job right now. They actually don't strap them down, and I had to, I had to tell them they need to strap them down. Um, Next questions. There are three lists that drivers, shippers, and carriers use to find out if material is regulated as hazardous. Which of the choices is not on the three list? And the answer is EPA Dangerous Materials List. So the question is, there are three lists that drivers, shippers, and carriers use to find out if a material is regulated as hazardous. And the question is, which of these choices is not on the list? And the answer is EPA Dangerous Materials List. Okay, 7. Driving of place Drivers of place car vehicles transporting hazardous materials must stop blank to blank feet from the nearest rail or railroads. And the answer is 15 to 50 feet. So you need to stop 15 to 50 feet. Next question. How many identical place cards in a vehicle hauling hazardous material requires to display and wear? How many identical place cards is a vehicle hauling hazardous material required to display and wear? And the answer is 4. One on the front, one on the back, one on each side of the vehicle. So if you have a place card vehicle, you must have 4 signs on all 4 sides of the vehicle. Next question. How many different types place cards are there showing DOT specifications? So it's just how many place cards are there? Um, and the answer is 22. How many different types? How many different type place cards are there showing DOT specifications? The answer is 22. Next, at what time is at what time is it required for the driver to have an approved gas mask on hand? And the answer is any vehicle carrying chlorine. At what time is it required for the driver to have an approved gas mask on hand? And the answer is anytime you are transporting chlorine. Okay. Drivers, next question. Drivers who transport route controlled radioactive material must carry a dated certificate of radioactive materials training. This training must have occurred within the last 2 years. Cylinders containing compressed gases may only be loaded onto a vehicle without a flat floor or platform if the cylinders are, and the answer is all of the above. That kind of goes back to the question I was telling you about my company, and they don't secure the cylinders. I work for a soda company, and they transport CO2 tanks, and they just throw them in the back. And when you're driving, they're just bumping everywhere. Okay, next question. What type fire extinguisher is required if the power unit in the power unit of a place carded vehicle? The answer is A UL rating of 10 BC or above. So it's 10 BC or above. Who is responsible for packaging, labeling, and preparing the hazardous material shipping papers for a common carrier? The answer is the shipper. If hazardous material is spilling from your vehicle, do not move your vehicle, and the answer is any more than safely required. Next question. Animals and human foodstuff That's really what it says, food stuff. Should not be loaded in the same vehicle with poisons. The answer is poisons. You don't want to transport food and poisons in the same vehicle. The transport index, the next question. The transport index of a radioactive material, the answer is tells the degree of control needed during transportation. The transport index of a radioactive material tells the degree of control needed during transportation. Next question. Class A explosives must not be transported in a combination vehicle if the vehicle includes a place cargo tank. Next question. Which of the following must drivers have in their possession while transporting Class A or B explosives? The answer is the written route plan. Next question. Which of the following is the proper definition of a cargo tank? And the answer is a bulk container permanently attached to a vehicle. Which of the following is the proper definition of a cargo tank? The answer is a bulk container permanently attached to a vehicle. Next question. With most hazardous materials, you may park within 5 feet of the road briefly if your work requires it. The materials that are accepted and do not allow parking this close to the road are explosives A and B. Next question. You do not have a hazardous material endorsements on your commercial driver's license. When can you legally haul hazardous material? The answer is only when the vehicle does not require place cards. So, and one of the answers, one of the wrong answers is never. So, be careful with that one. Let me read that one again. You do not have a hazardous material endorsement on your commercial driver's license. When can you legally haul hazardous materials? And the answer is only when the vehicle does not require place cards. Next question. The basic description of hazardous material includes the hazard class, the identification number, and the proper shipping name. Which one must appear first on the shipping paper? And the answer is the identification number. Let me read that one again. The basic description of hazardous materials includes the hazard class, the identification number, and the proper shipping name. Which one must appear first on the shipping paper? And the answer is the identification number. Next question. When fueling a place carded vehicle, one must always be, that's the question, and the answer is at the nozzle, controlling the fuel flow. Next question. A driver that hauls hazardous material must attend training every 3 years. The answer is 3 years. Next question. An AW, the first column of the hazardous material table means this material is only restricted when shipped by air or water. Okay, so an AW in the first column of the hazardous materials tables means that this material is only restricted when shipped by air or water. Next question. How many different hazard classes are there? And the answer is 9. How many different hazard classes are there? The answer is 9. Next question. When a substance in the material table is written in Italic, it means it is not the proper shipping name. Only those in Roman type above it, it are proper shipping names. So when a substance in the material table is written in italic, it means it is not the proper shipping name. Only those in Roman type are proper shipping names. Next question. In column 1, the symbol I means international international transportation. Next question. When hauling explosives 1.1 and 1.3, which place cards do you use? The answer is explosives 1.1. Thank you.